When you spend hours working at a computer, there are really only two desk accessories that matter: a mouse and a keyboard. I got an ergonomic mouse ages ago. This is actually a third ergonomic mouse that I own. And for keyboards, I was really just using my standard MacBook keyboard or an Apple Magic keyboard that I got ages ago that I use when I connect my MacBook to an external monitor. So I've been looking to upgrade my keyboard for a while, and this is just in time for school. Enter the NuPhy Air75 V3. It's from NuPhy Air because it is one of their smaller low-profile keyboards, 75 because it is 75% of a typical standard keyboard layout, and V3 which improves upon things like better battery life thanks to a more efficient chipset. This is a mechanical keyboard that has switches that are hot swappable, as well as keycaps that are hot swappable, and as you can tell, fun RGB lighting, and you can program macros onto this. As a night owl and somebody that likes good lighting in general, bright RGB light, it's invaluable for me to stay in the flow state, have fun, and be focused too. Because who says that productivity tools and work can't be fun, or have at least a layer of fun to it? Today's video is partially sponsored by NuPhy, who provided the keyboard as well as a little bit of support for this video. All this means is that I push this review up in my schedule and that I respect a timeline. It doesn't change how I review products, and as always, I only work with brands that understand that I will give an honest experience no matter what, and they have no say whatsoever, and I will share the pros and cons based on my experience. It's not the first company to have contacted me for keyboards, but it is the first company that I accepted to review their products because it had everything that I was looking for in a keyboard. So coming from a Magic keyboard, I'm used to having something premium with the aluminum casing, low profile, and long-lasting battery life. I can go months between charges. With the NuPhy, it's low profile, obviously not as low profile as the Magic keyboard, and it has RGB lighting, which is something I definitely wanted in my next keyboard if I was going to upgrade. It also had good battery life, and that was the main selling point for me. It is priced at $139.95 USD at the time of this review. Some of their layouts are slightly more expensive. If you look at the specs and you look at all of the different competitors in its category, it's actually very well priced and competitively priced for what it has to offer. But we're gonna cover all of that in great detail. I would say there's only about 2 weak points in it that may not even matter for you. Check the affiliate link in the description where you can get the latest prices, sales, and discount code auto-applied at checkout, which will save you $15 with my exclusive discount code for viewers. I do get a little bit of a kickback at no extra cost to you, so that's an easy way to support the channel, especially if this review helped you. Is this keyboard really a game changer? Does it really have anything additional or extra premium to offer? Let's find out. It does come in 2 colors. This is the Nova White, and then they have a Nebula Dark. I'm kind of regretting that I didn't get the black, but the black one has black keys and a black casing, so I just stuck with the white, but they're both really nice. The top case is a 220 grit anodized finish CNC machined aluminum. It's really smooth and premium feeling. The bottom case is ABS. The mount type is a gasket, which for a low profile keyboard is rare. It's better feel, better sound, better quality. You often will find that in full-size keyboards. The stabilizers are plate mounted, so that's very standard for a low profile keyboard. So that's one of the semi-weak points. But once again, this is a low profile keyboard. Keycaps are really high quality, very crispy. I asked about how they would wear out. Mac keyboard, you can see that some of these letters are worn off, and I've had this keyboard for maybe 7 to 8 years. So I was worried about this. They're a double shot injection molded PBT material. So that means that you have the lettering and then the key are injection molded separate, right? And then molded together. They're not printed on. Very high resistance. There's also rubber feet in the back at 3 different angles: 4 degrees, 8 degrees, and 10 degrees. When I first used this, I figured because I came from a low keyboard and I would go with the default 4 degrees. I was struggling a little bit with the comfort, but also I had to get used to going from a super slim, barely there keyboard to a slightly higher mechanical keyboard with higher keys and higher case. I swapped to the second level legs, which was the 8 degrees and even the 10 degree, and that felt really comfortable. There are 3 ways to use this keyboard: wired, wireless, with either Bluetooth or a dongle. 2.4 gigahertz dongle on the back that's actually integrated right into the base, which I love because that means it'll always be with you and you won't lose it. If you use it wired, you would use the supplied cable. Technically any data cable would work. Figure that the black cable will be different, but the cable on the white one, it reminds me of tech from the 90s. So there's a little bit of that nostalgia factor. I like it. And then there's Bluetooth 5.0. You can connect up to 3 devices. You'll notice that there are 2 light bars bars on the side. Bluetooth devices 1, 2, 3 would be the FN plus 1, F2, F3. And if you were to go with the 2.4 gigahertz dongle, you would press FN plus 4. And you'll notice that now it's green. So these light bars also serve as visual indicators for connectivity. Gamers will also appreciate that there's a 1000 hertz polling rate, which means better accuracy, better key registration, quicker, and that is for the wired connection as well as the 2.4 gigahertz dongle connection. When you're in Bluetooth, that goes down to 125 hertz. I don't need a very responsive gaming experience when I do play some games on Steam on my MacBook. The Bluetooth has been perfectly fine for me. I'm not playing like first-person competitive shooters. For a lot of gamers, 1000 hertz would be plenty enough. The battery on here is a 4000 milliamp hour. That's actually the same as the V2. On the V2 and probably the V1, they use another chipset that exists. I think it might have been an AMD chipset, but on the V3, they have their own NuPhy chipset, which means they could just be a lot more efficient. Like how Mac went from an Intel chipset to their own chipset. They have full control over it. All of the lights on all the time. You are looking at about 60 to 100 hours. That would be about maybe 10 days of use, let's say, depending on how many hours you're using it. Max brightness. If you were to turn off all of the lights, it would be 1200 hours, which would be, let's say you're working 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're looking at about 5 months between charges. Obviously, if you're getting this keyboard, you're probably gonna want the RGB lights. It's about playing in between that. They do have multiple brightness levels and different sleep modes. There are 4 different brightness levels on the keyboard, FN and then down arrows, 1, 2, 3, 4. At night, level 2 is way bright enough. So I don't tend to max it out. I'm only gonna max it out at, like in this review, I'm max so you can see it very well. And there is a battery life indicator on one of these L bars, so you can always see how much battery you have left. There are 10 little dots. Each dot is 10%. You can press FN, /, and then you'll see your battery life. I did notice that the battery light indicator was orange, even though it was at 9 out of 10 dots. And when I asked NuPhy about it, they told me that 95% and up, it will be green. Once it's below that, it turns to orange. There's no plans to change that either. I didn't love that. I feel like orange should be reserved for maybe at 50% charge. That would be great in the future if they allow users to customize that to their liking. Remember to write NuPhy feature requests. Those are great little touches. I like that visual cue. If you want to be even more power efficient, which I started doing, is that I shut off the RGB lights during the day where I don't need it as much or I don't see it as much and I don't want to max the brightness. And then I power it on at night. There's also 2 levels of sleep mode. There's default settings. The level 1, after 6 minutes of inactivity, the RGB lights will shut off. And after, I think it's 20 minutes of inactivity, level 2 sleep mode, that'll cut the communication on your keyboard. I'm not sure what that means. This is a small keyboard. It's about 12.5 inches by 5 inches and about ½ an inch thick. You can see that there's no wasted space. They'll get all of the F buttons, you get the up and down arrows, you get this. This is more keys than my MacBook. I think my MacBook has 78, so I get 6 extra keys, which may be a problem because I might start getting used to this and I may have to actually bring this around with me everywhere. It's not the lightest though. It's 724 grams. That's about 1.6 pounds. And you know, given all the materials that they have in here, especially with the aluminum, it's gonna add a little bit of weight. So that did surprise me a little bit. That may impact whether you end up bringing this everywhere or not. The way that they designed this with the rubber feet is that they can go in between your key rows on your MacBook. So you can in fact put this on top of your MacBook if you want to just use this instead. I don't know in reality how useful it is, because if you're looking for ultimate portability, are you really willing to bring another item that is heavy and take up more space in your bag? I'm curious to hear if anybody does that, if anybody would be doing that. I do bring it with me when I am working remotely, especially if I'm hooked up to an external monitor, because then I can close my MacBook clamshell style and then rely on just a wireless keyboard. So I do bring it with me, but I don't necessarily stick it on top of my MacBook. I have used this just sitting on the sofa, this on my lap, and it was very comfortable to use like that. The portability factor and the lightness factor is useful. You can also use this with an iPad, and they sell this folio case that basically this would be your keyboard with the iPad, so that it's essentially a computer at this point. Coming from a Magic keyboard to this, it did take a little bit of time for me to adjust, but that's very normal. Going from one keyboard to another, where I was used to that low profile, like no travel distance, barely sticking out key. Then going to this, that's a little bit higher with higher keys and more travel distance. It takes about 1 to 2 weeks to get used to. I'm at about 1 week of heavy use with this, and I've already gotten really way more used to it. There is this really satisfying tactile feel to mechanical keyboards that I'm really enjoying, and I don't find it necessarily more precise than my Magic Keyboard. It's different, but the cushiony feel it has is comfortable, and I like that feedback, and I like the sound, but you be the judge of it. If you do get this keyboard and you do find it's difficult, give it some time. Try rolling a towel, see if a wrist rest will help. They do sell wrist rests as well. That could help with the angle. Your setup is ergonomic, and play with the rubber feet. You'd be surprised how tweaking the angles on that would actually help. They have 84 swappable keycaps. Windows and Mac, they include additional keycaps, and they have different keyboard layouts, different languages like German, Japanese. They have everything for everyone. Even though I have the Mac version and all of the keys are already installed for Mac, it is still a little bit oriented more towards Windows. It doesn't have the little icons on the top of the command and control and options that I'm used to seeing. Enter instead of return, backspace instead of delete. There were some icons that they did print 2 versions, and you get all of that in your package. At the top, it comes preset with the cap. Very easy to swap out. They give you all of the included tools. They include 2 different knobs, a low profile knob and a higher profile knob. I installed the low profile knob just because I wanted to easily bring this around with me. And the high profile knob, I don't want that to get stuck or break in a bag when I'm transporting it. The knobs also have a click function, so you get 3 functions. There's the dialing both directions and clicking. You can program all of that. The only thing with the low profile knob is you end up having to use it more on the side, which is not a problem because there's edges around here, so it makes it easy to grip. They also had a really fun little key, which was a kitty cat. Put this in my family chat and I was like, look, there's a cat, what should I do with it? And my brother-in-law is obsessed with cats, and he went without hesitation, make it the M for meow. So that is what I did. The switches are all a Gatron 3.0 low profile, all in the nano switches. They have 3 different versions you can choose from. You can also buy multiple versions. On here, I have the red nano. You can actually hear how all of them sound on one of their videos, which I will link in the description. Part of me kind of wishes I ended up getting the brown tactile, but I don't know if that would be too annoying. If you want the quietest and easiest and smoothest to type, it would be the blush. The red nano is a really good in-between if you're unsure. It's more of a thok sound. You can program a lot of things on NuPhy.io if you want to have more customization, but you can actually do everything you need with the keyboard. To adjust the brightness RGB, it is FN and then down arrow and up. When you get to the bottom, you'll see that it's flashing here to indicate that you've reached the very bottom. You can go up 4 levels. 1, 2, 2 is playing enough for me. 3, 4, this is the max now. There's 20 RGB patterns you can choose from. You would press FN and then left arrow. Every time you press, it does something. Left again. You can also change the colors, including when there's multiple colors in one, by pressing FN right. You can also change the speed by pressing FN and then these brackets, and you can change the speed of them. The colors are gorgeous. They're saturated, they're bright, and this is with all my lights on. So if I were to just shut off all my lights for a second, it's not even like my good camera. This is like my cell phone camera, but it's very bright. These light bars, I wish there was more information on them. I did see in their documentation something about these light bars in the future that it would sync with music. I imagine it'll do some really cool like EQ style, up and down, rhythm things with music, but it says in a future software, when you press caps, you'll have an indicator here. FN, cat, and then left, you'll see it cycles through various light settings. If you go to the right, you'll change the colors. So it's the same idea as the RGB, except you add the M into here now. One of them is typing speed. God knows what I'm typing now. And then if you do F, N, and M, you can also, let's say this, I can change the speed of them so it changes much quicker now. But I like when it breathes slowly. It doesn't trigger my anxiety. Change the brightness of these ones as well. I like to just leave it at level 2 all around. I think even if you're not gonna program macros, you should go onto the NuPhy.io, plug it in. You don't need to register, you don't need to download anything. It is a web app, which I like because I'm very annoyed of creating accounts everywhere all the time now. When you go into that, it'll be so much easier to visualize all of the light patterns, and you can click on things and then right away you'll be able to see what all of the light patterns do. I wish I did that at the beginning. I didn't, but I'm giving you that tip, and you can also see all of the function keys that are defaulted in. Let's go into NuPhy.io, how you can configure and customize all of this, because I will tell you that there is really not enough documentation. The UI wasn't the most intuitive. In any browser, go to NuPhy.io and you can go here, or you can just bookmark this. In the settings is where you can adjust the sleep modes, the language, update, and they have feature updates. So hopefully when they get that light bar rhythm music update, we'll see it there. And here we can see it where clearly on the Mac layout. If I were to toggle in the back to Windows, you would see it goes to M2 Windows. And so once I was struggling with my keyboard, it's actually because I accidentally had toggled that. To Mac, go into the lighting effect, and here you can visualize. As I click on things, it changes on the physical keyboard. And it also shows you a little bit of a preview as well. You can see that there's speed and brightness and all of the different color options to custom colors in NuPhy.io. Here, when you cycle through different colors, they're preset colors. Mode setting, it's not very much here. So this one I almost feel like it should be elsewhere. Macro, key bindings, advanced functions are similar. Tap dance, say I wanted A, create new key. You could have this have different functionalities when you press it once, when you double click it, and when you press and hold, and then you can change the hold time. That's really cool. However, you can't program any of these to work with macros, not yet anyway. So if it's something you want, ask them about it. You can choose from basic functionalities, media functionality, RGB, NuPhy specific lights that you have on your keyboard, and then other special items. Key binding, you want A to be A, you wanted A to be Z. I could just drag that here, and now this is the letter Z. Let's say I am in my notepad. See, since I changed this to Z, when I press it, it's now Z because I have set it Z. Obviously, that's not how you would use that. You can change different functionalities, but that is where I put the battery level. That's how I programmed it. Down here and search for battery, then I just dragged it to here. This previously was insert. So now when I press that, it shows me my battery, which as a reminder is FN / by default. Now, if you go to macro, you have 32 macros that you can program. Macros are essentially shortcuts that are memorized. So there's two different ways to attach macros to buttons. Or you can bind multiple. This by default was print screen, save to desktop in the selected area. I changed this so that now when I press it and then I paste, I now have the selected area that I just screenshotted, but it saves to my clipboard. Record a macro is you click start recording. And in this case, I would do Control, Command, Shift 4, and then just lift everything, click stop. This is your macro. It's not assigned to any keys yet. If there's an order that you respect the order and that you do lift up, I delete it, I X them in some instances. And then I ended up in a forever loop and I couldn't get out of it and it just messed up and I had to reboot my computer. That you can see that it also saves all of the time intervals. I don't care about the specific timing that I did between these keys. I can just do default interval 10 milliseconds, which is plenty enough. So it's super, super quick. So now I can assign this macro. All of the macros and all of the settings save into the keyboards. By default, this knob was the volume button. I have dedicated volume buttons that I'm used to pressing. I found it much more useful to change the brightness level. You don't need to use macros for this one. I went to key binding and I went here and it knows that it's a knob. And if you go into settings, just to be sure, it is registered as a knob instead of a button. But when I changed it from a button to a knob, it automatically knows because there's a different sensor in there. So if you click here, see now it's registered to volume up. But if I go to brightness, start typing brightness, I think it's decrease brightness and drag it here. When I go down, it changes the brightness, go here, increases the brightness, And then clicking changes the pattern. Type in RGB, for example, and then if you hover, it will give you all of the various options. Now, this makes adjusting my brightness and changing the pattern so much easier. It wasn't that much work before. It was FN, down, up, and then left arrow, but this is just so much more seamless to have a dedicated button. Feels like a better use. Love this keyboard. I think it has a lot of great features. I think that the weak points are basically the NuPhy.io. Could be a lot clearer, could have better documentation. Now that I figured it out and I guided you through it, that wouldn't necessarily be a weak point. And is this the best low profile keyboard that you can buy? Pretty much I would say yes, based on all the features and the price point and everything that it has to offer. If this is like the first keyboard you're going for, it's a solid buy. Got a lot of premium features. It's got the RGB, it's got good battery life, especially if you play around with how do you use the battery life. Hot swappable, good RGB, very nice saturation, lots of customization options available, 1000 hertz polling rate. Let's say you're like, I like the macros on here, but it's not really what I need to speed up my editing workflow, especially if you are a photo editor, a video editor, an illustrator right here. And this is a macro controller, and it's not one that you're used to seeing. These are all programmable buttons, so ergonomic and functional. I love this. It's speeded up my workflow tenfold. I cannot edit without this anymore. To house all of the electronics I need to bring with me when I'm working. It's a desk pouch. Everything is super organized. You can also carry it with the handle, and it does come with a strap so you can wear it as a sling. So you can check out that review right here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.